that can help you. But without that emotional balance, you can't do this properly. It won't work. So this is what the work is. This is what the Flower of Life is involved in, these 3 levels. The first one is the Merkaba. The second one has to do with the heart and the heart spaces and what's involved in that. And finally, the work with the sexual energy and how to work with all of that. And though the sexual programs will probably not be out there for at least a year or 2. So, that's it. Now, if there's any questions, I'll do what I can to answer them. If you have a question, if you could come up here to this microphone and ask the question, I'll do it. If you feel to go now, you can. It's up to you. You don't have to do this. But if you want to watch, or if there's something else that you want to follow through there, I'll stay here for another half hour or so.
Sí, vamos a dedicar algún momento para preguntas. Las personas que deseen hacer preguntas, si se acercan aquí y hacen una fila, por favor, y les vamos dando el micrófono. Vamos a dedicar un poco de tiempo, no demasiado, porque no podemos estarnos toda la noche, pero lo que podamos. Es que nos emocionamos y luego aquí no nos vamos nunca. Si alguien quiere acercarse.
Yo quería saber un poco de los niños índigos.
The indigo children are, okay, if you look at the mind, it's divided into the left and the right side. The left side is male and logical. The right side is female and emotional. The planet, Earth, is divided in the same way. It's not a straight line, but there are areas of the Earth that are associated with the left brain and areas that are associated with the right brain. Like India and Tibet are in the right brain, and the United States and Germany are definitely in the left brain. And what's the psychic children that we have been talking about that can see with their hands and feet fall into the right brain. The indigo children fall into the left brain of the planet, and they are logical and very intelligent. Their IQ is very high. It's somewhere in the 130s, 136 or so is approximately in there. That used to be 1 child in 10,000, and now it's becoming normal. And these kids usually, though, don't have they don't have a broad spectrum genius. They usually have spikes or certain areas. In other words, they're only a genius in the areas they like, things that they want to do. And in the areas that they like and they want to do, they're incredible. You can't hardly measure their intelligence in those areas. And they are slightly psychic. They know what you're thinking and feeling, but that's pretty much the extent of it, at least what I've been able to see. So if you're a parent of them and you're trying to raise them using the old guidelines, it doesn't work. It absolutely, you just end up in a mess because they know what you're thinking. And so if you lie to them, they know you're lying. And if you lie to them very much, they won't listen to you anymore. And so you can't say no to them either. You have to explain to them and talk to them as though they're an adult because they're really intelligent, even though they're just little kids. The United States is trying to figure out what to do right now. Lee Carroll's book, The Indigo Kids, which was written, that was not written by Lee Carroll or Jan Tabor. It was a summation of the works of many psychologists and doctors and people who were in the testing of these children. And it's very clear that there is a phenomena going on in the world that we don't quite understand, besides the one with the super psychic kids. And it's changing everything. Where you're going to find these kids is where there's computers. The highest computer ratio in the world is in Israel, and that's where you're going to find the highest ratio. But the United States is very high in them also. And by 1984, they began to see them coming in mass. And by the time he wrote his book, which I don't remember when it was 1997 or so, where 80 to 90% of all the children being born in the United States were indigo kids. At this point today, it's near, if not at, 100%. Every single kid, just about. But that's because the United States is such a left-brain country. Mexico's kind of got both going on. You've got some indigos and some super psychics going on. You've got both things happening at once. And so you can't just say, well, I got an indigo kid. I mean, you got to really kind of look at it and see what's going on there, because you don't know. How did Inga's mother know that she had a super psychic kid? It was real obvious. She told me herself. She said when Inga was 6 months old, she was laying in her crib and asleep, and she heard some noises, and she walked into the room, and this little baby had taken all of her toys that were around the room, and they were floating over her bed, and she was sitting there playing with them as they were floating in the air. She knew for sure. And but the indigo kids are harder to see because they look more normal. And but these kids are from what all the people who are studying these kids, and especially the psychics who are studying them, they're not from Earth. We are infusing very high levels of awareness from other places, certain regions of space and time and dimension, that have agreed to come into Earth at this time to raise our consciousness, because if somebody doesn't do this, we're not going to make it, because we don't have enough consciousness to be able. We've got some things coming in the future very soon that are big, really big, and we have to be able to be on another level to be able to deal with these things. And that's what they're doing, is they're coming here to help us. And so I could go on for another hour probably, but that's the essence of what the indigo kids are.
You know, maybe I missed it, but before we went out for the break, you mentioned you were going to tell us when we came back about the message.
The message?
Yes, you mentioned about a message that the other civilization was trying to transmit to us.
Did that go through the translation? Oh, the plasma ships. Well, their message. What their message is, as I understand it from them, is exactly what I'm talking about. The thing that we need to know about ourselves is about our heart. And that if we know that we can go in there, we can change the outer world. All the polluted oceans, the ozone, the problems, the stuff, all the things that look hopelessly like you can't fix them, well, you can. And more. If we learn to change from our mind to our heart and get inside of there. And eventually this leads into a place where you become pure light. And whatever you think happens, whatever you feel, whatever you dream actually happens. The message, though, will have to be delivered by them and exactly how they want it. But I know that it is in this area of what this message is. I can't tell you exactly what they're going to say. But it is in that area what they want to say to us. That's about all I can say on that. Okay.
I read in your website many years ago about the water of life or something like that. What's about that water now? Is healing the
well, we've been studying water for, I don't know, 12, 14 years. Water is way more than you know. There is potential in water that is, all of our energy problems could be over with water in ways that we can't even imagine right now. What we're finding is incredible. But along that line of testing, we came across a water that came out of Turkey. And that water held the potential of healing all the rivers and lakes and everything of the environment. It was a very unusual water, and we studied this at SAIC, which is a government thing in Washington, D.C. They showed how you can just take this water and just you can take a lamp and just stick a plug in it, and it'll light up the lamp brighter than if you plugged it in the wall. And you could take polluted water and put a little bit in there and just watch it go clear. It was amazing potential, but the people that were behind it were not very nice and